I hope I have good.
Hope what?
I said I hope I have decent answers. No pressure.
Well, I'll just end it if you don't. I'll just
okay. Just like this shit's over.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm just gonna end it.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Stop following me on Instagram.
That's how I used to hang up the phone. And then one of my friends was like, that's really like not okay, Jessica. The conversation's actually not over till we say goodbye.
Right. We both have to agree that it's over. Well, I'm so happy to talk to you because I feel like I was so happy to find you on Instagram because you're such a different voice and so interesting. And not everyone on Instagram is interesting in their own way, but I just find like everything that you say, your videos are just like, oh, there's another cool angle. This person is like speaking my language, but in a completely different way. Like, I love that you're a nurse practitioner. I love that what you do with the mistresses of the menopausal mind. And then every time you make a video, I sound like a fangirl, but you'll just always bring up something that I just don't see other people talking about. Do you feel like do you feel this, or is it just me?
Well, I mean, first of all, like I love the stuff that you're putting out and just kind of thinking things. I think for me, when I was watching you talked about, and this is just, I just want to put this out there, but you talked about this vulnerability that you were going through, and it wasn't like imposter syndrome. I don't even remember specifically what it was, but I just was like, thank you for saying that out loud. Thank you for like putting it out there, because this is really hard. I'm going to try not to curse. I have a really horrible potty mouth. I don't mind. Okay, thank fucking God, because I'm like, I can't. It takes like way too much brain power.
No problem.
So anyway, I was just like, I am loving this. And I think I might have actually responded to you too. But anyway, here's the problem with Instagram. Nobody comments back. Like, so last night I did a thing because I promised myself, I have a friend, Hannah Koenig, who's a business person, and we're buddies. And she was like, be online every day, to say something. So I'm like doing this thing. It's really hard going on live. Nobody's talking to you. I'm just kind of blah, blah, blah. So I don't feel it because I don't really know that anybody's watching it or thinking anything about it. And then I'm like, it's such a big world. Who cares? Like, I'm either for somebody or not for somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what you do, it's like not right to somebody, right? And then it's perfect for somebody else. But like, I can't pretend that I don't have, I am very opinionated, right? And I have my lived experience, which is a very particular lived experience, in this particular body with the particular people that raised me, the pack of wolves that raised me, that I love very much, and this is what it is, right? And so I try, I go through these things. You can cut me off anytime, but I try and do it right. And I get really nervous because I don't want to, and when I say do it right, I'm saying I don't want to give out false information. I don't want to give out untrue information. And so that makes me super nervous, like super, super nervous. And even as a nurse, and then because I'm always a nurse, nurse practitioner, like the whole concept of not harming people is so, like nurses have this thing where we'll do our 12 hours and then we're at home and we wake up at 4 a.m. thinking, I didn't give 64B their water. You know what I mean? Like,
that's like when you're a waitress and you're like, I didn't give table 8 their water. That's that's horrible.
Yeah. And so you're thinking about of course. Yeah. Right. You're like, oh my God.
I have a waitress for years and I'll have a dream that I forgot to take someone their butter or something.
Yeah, exactly. So it's this whole idea of like and that may just be wanting to be like one of the helpers, you know what I'm saying? And wanting to make sure that, I think probably journalism is very much the same, right? Because you want to make sure that you're giving the truth, right? As best as evidence-based information that really is not wacky.
Oh, 100%.
You know?
And I'm used to sharing information, and I'm used to like having to give information to a broad group and the people on either side that aren't happy about what you're saying and hearing back from them. I mean, that's been happening to me for years since we got email.
Yeah.
But I'm used to having a team that protects me from what I say and write, layers of copy editors all the way up to the top. So what makes me extremely nervous is I just feel like, oh my God, I'm out on my own. And what if I say something wrong? And it happens, right? It happens all the time. And I've just decided that I'm just going to correct myself when I'm wrong. We're both responsible. I know I'm responsible because I see a lot of people being not responsible. And so I don't know what else you can do, because it's kind of that whole, like, you know, it's so lame to quote Brene Brown, but it's like, you're in the arena, you're doing it, you're going to make mistakes. And it's the fear that we have is good. It's good fear, right? Like, I've been a journalist. I've had this fear my entire career. And then someone will, you know, email me and say, you're an idiot, you made a mistake. And it's like, okay, well, you probably made a mistake too. Why don't I come to your cubicle and look over your shoulder?
Like, why does it have to go there?
Like, anyway, you're not used to it because you've been, it's really brave. Like, I mean, for me, it's not that much of a leap, you know? And I have friends who are like, I don't even know why you're doing that or how, because I've gotten into trouble from people. Like, the beginning, I had the funniest when I got in trouble was I put a picture of, I put a picture of Gwyneth Paltrow up with holding her book, holding the book by Dr. Will Cole, Intuitive Fasting, just because it was the only picture I could use, like, legally. And well, if you ever want to find out who's crazy, put a picture of Gwyneth Paltrow up. Like,
people freak out.
And actually now I think it's such a good barometer of if you're like a semi-reasonable person, because if you go crazy at the sight of Gwyneth Paltrow, I think there might be something kind of wrong with you. If that's enough to drive you like mental and say crazy things. But that was a really upsetting thing that happened early. And all I was saying was, she's talking about it, and I think she could be in the perimenopause, because no one's talking at that time. No celebrities were talking about it. So anyway, it always comes when you least expect it. Like, the problems are not the ones you think are going to be the problems. They're going to be something that you're just like, oh, I'll put that up. And then, rawr.
No, I know. And I even walk into spaces with people that don't know me, and I don't say anything. I've always been like, if you look at my kindergarten, as if you're going to come over and look at my kindergarten report card, but you're welcome to. You can come to the Bronx, come see it. It's like, Jessica's always telling inappropriate jokes, right? Like, I was always saying things that were not fit for the people, my audience, right? And I used to get in like, I don't work in a corporate, I have a paycheck job. It's, you know, I have a paycheck job, but it's no longer in a corporate hospital system, right? The industrial hospital complex, because I was constantly getting in trouble. You know, if you're going to be there and you're going to be the head of security, I don't care, I'm just going to say it, the head of security at number one in New York, and then talk about those people, I'm going to call your ass out. I don't care if there are 50, 60 people. If you're being a racist fuck, you need to be called on your shit. Like, period. End of story. End of story.
Okay.
Anyway, so I've always kind of said, and it doesn't help. It doesn't help, right? I'm sorry, I don't know how to get rid of that dinging, but if you heard it. I've been like, that's way above me. But you know, I'm not good at editing. It's funny, at my job, which I love right now, we were talking about how to, this is not about menopause, but it is, I guess, because like the zero fucks kind of attitude has been a part of me my whole life. Although I still do care, right? I can pinpoint periods where I got like shamed for saying whatever. But we were sitting talking about like, how do we address this topic and do that? And I was like, well, you know, I have no editor, like I can't do it. So I'm not the one to sit at the table. I will go, but I will tell them about themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So-and-so is good at being diplomatic. Not me, not me so much. Right. Yeah. But so like last night I talked about hormones and this kind of like how the intersectionality of when we think about trans hormonal care, right? And the fact that like the majority of people who are on hormones are cis people, like they're cisgendered people. They're men and women in the binary, you know, men and women taking birth control pills, taking, you know, taking testosterone. You know, it's these are the people who are taking it. The fact that we all have the same hormones, and that even if you don't fit into, you know, very conservative concepts of what a woman is, right? If you're a trans woman, oh, you know, there's this concept that you're going to have your testicles are the main part of where testosterone is made, right? You remove the testicles, right? We think back into olden times, eunuchs, whatever, you know what I mean? But like, you need the estrogen, right? To protect your bones. They didn't know that way back when. Yeah. So now if we say to these trans women, like, okay, they think, if they do think, and I don't know what the percentage of it might be like really young trans women who don't know or whatever it is, right? But she's thinking, well, now that I've had these testicles removed, now maybe I don't need to do estrogen and I don't need to take estrogen anymore. Well, she's going to have very similar symptoms of menopause. She's going to have those, right? So we need to include her into this conversation, right? Non-binary people, we need to include them. It can't just be, you know, Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But bless Gwyneth Paltrow's heart, right? Because she's like, I'm rich, I have luxury, I have access, I'm doing my thing. Okay, good. Good. Right.
Yeah. I mean, just with her, it was just good that she talked about it. It does show that when people talk about it, it spreads. And now it's kind of hip to talk about it. But the whole trans thing is very confusing. It bends my brain because when you're a trans woman or you're a trans man, like both can have menopause symptoms, which I have a really hard time wrapping my head around that. And I want to talk to both to hear and explain. That's what's one of my goals. Because you just start getting really confused. You're like, okay, so you're a trans woman and you'll have symptoms, and you're a trans man and you'll have symptoms, and where is it all coming from? And anyway, it happens to people.
But it comes from the fact that we all have the same amount of estradiol, right? Yeah. We all have the same amount, clinically insignificant amount of estradiol. The only thing that's different is testosterone, right? That the testosterone starts to kick over, and we have obviously testosterone as well, right? That kicks over and makes this change. I mean, if you look at like a fetus, like an embryo, right? And then it grows into the cluster of cells and starts to become this thing that we know as a fetus, right? You can see that it's basically all female looking presentation of a clitoris, right? And then that forms into a shaft of a penis, right? Yeah. So like, they're us anyway. Yeah. Right? Like we're all a bunch of broads, right? I mean, not really.
I mean, that new picture of, it's not even new. It's like 17 years old or something, but the clitoris, what it actually is versus what I thought it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With the wings.
Illuminating. Yeah. I mean, it's a penis. It's the same.
Or the penis is a clitoris. We started it.
Clitoris. Yeah, we started it. Right.
Yeah, it's all us, right? It's all like, that's the thing, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's really us. We started it.
Yeah. And this is the big lie that's been going on that I think we wake up to in this time of life. Like, I don't know, I am, where it's like everything I've been told and everything I've ever thought is wrong about being.
Well, here, so I have a theory. I don't mean to get so controversial. So you could stop if you want, but the next thing I was going to talk about on the Instagram was and I was talking to somebody who actually, the artist of the postcards that I have, right, who's a cisgendered white man, right, who's a nurse practitioner, white man. And we are always like, we're always talking, and we sit together, right? And we were talking about a very controversial figure that we like to just, go at it. Anyway, I was listening to this person who is slightly deplorable, but he eats only meat and drinks salt water. That's all I'm going to say, right? So I was listening to this person who is a known person, and he's a meat eating, salt drinking person. And he was being interviewed on British GQ with this feminist person who is really, really getting it, like giving it to him. And the reason I was listening to him is because he came up in our discussion. And I'm listening to them talk about misogyny, patriarchy, so on and so forth. And nowhere did they talk about race. And then it occurred to me that the foundation, and I can only speak of these United States that I live in, this portion of and my personal experience, my lived experience, the experience of my ancestors, meaning my mother, my grandmother, my grandmother, right? My father even. It's not about patriarchy. It's not about misogyny. It's all white supremacy. White supremacy is the foundation of everything. And out of that, right, is where the misogyny comes from, the homophobia, like the transphobia, the ableism. It's like funny because I was thinking about this in the shower, as like people do, right? Because that's where you think about everything in the shower. And I was thinking, like, even when we think about like the variety of human beings and colorism, and like we think about albinism, right? Not like ism as in negative power, but people that have albinism, right? The skin, right? We come in so many kind of varieties, right? In this, like we are just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And it all just stems from white supremacy. And so if we just think, like, I've started to really talk about like the mistresses in the menopausal mind as like this outlet to take the pressure off, right? It's just, the concept is offering information and community to take the pressure off.
I love
it. And
if
we even, thank you. And if we even think about this concept and we say, okay, these United States, and obviously it moves past into the colonies and everything else, right, is a foundation of white supremacy, right? And as Sonia Renee Taylor talks about, white supremacist delusion, and we can then take away racism, patriarchy, misogyny, and say, like, where is my thinking really buying into this white supremacist delusion, right? So like the concept of like knowing that research wasn't started on women since till like 1993, 94, you know the year, I don't know, you know it better than me, right? Like, how does that play into white supremacist delusion? Right? Because we know that who's running those research studies. Anyway, that to me kind of takes the pressure off, because that includes everyone, because everyone, especially in these United States, and I know you're not here, but you know, you're very familiar with us, you're like above us, right? I mean, you were, now you're way far, but even that takes the pressure off. So you don't have to think like, where am I having this misogynistic or this ableist or this homophobic or this racist thought, right? It's like, where am I buying into the white supremacy of time? You know, the white supremacist delusion of like, certain people are always on time or certain people are always late, or, you know, Adam's rib and all that business, right? I mean, you know, like, where am I, when we think about birth control, you know, like when we think about what's happening with body, like that's the other thing too, body autonomy, right? We need to talk about body autonomy in terms of menopause, in terms of perimenopause, in terms of reproduction, in terms of like for everybody. Right. And where does white supremacist delusion fall into that? Because it sure does. It sure does.
I'm even surprised. One of the things that drives me crazy is the way the BMI is used. I mean, that's one of the most, I mean, why? It's like every study that the North American Menopause Society journal Menopause puts out, it based on the BMI. It's like, guys,
and
do some research over here on the BMI with the racist origins, and it's like, doesn't make sense and it's not accurate. And it's the standard of the research that's being done. So like,
and created by insurance companies.
Right. Like,
I learned that on the maintenance. No. I learned that on Maintenance Phase, that like incredible podcast, right? I mean, this whole idea that it was, and I was listening to Food Psyche too for a while, but you know, I get like finicky and like somebody will say something and then I'm just like, I can't listen to you anymore. But anyway, like I'll go back, you know what I mean? I go back, but I'm a Libra. But yeah, like the BMI, that's why they have that health at any size. Do you know about that?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. That health at any size. And I've started so I see patients in my paycheck job. I see patients like real people, human beings. I touch them, I talk to them, right? They probably gave me COVID. I love them. They're young, right? But we talk about like when I practice, I face the computer towards them, right? Okay. And I make sure that they can see everything that I'm typing, because it's their business. It's not my business. It's their business, right? Mm-hmm. And so when that BMI starts to go like glow red, I talk about it, and I'm like, let me tell you about this number. Let me tell you that, you know, you can be any size and super healthy, and you can be any size and super sick. But anyway, I digress. I'm off on a tangent. But yes,
point. It makes me, what I want to say so much in this field is like, that's not even real. And yet we're reporting all this information. You guys are talking about this nutritional information, but the thing you're basing it on isn't real. So what are we even talking about? Like, I just feel like half the time I'm just walking around going like, that's not real. That thing you're insisting on, or, you know, like, cause you know, it's crazy time in this world, I feel like. Yeah. And then we're discussing menopause in the middle of it. You know what I mean? Like in the middle of me not believing in anything I believed in throughout my career anymore.
Yeah. Of course, because you're starting to see like that's the and instead of parsing it and saying like, oh, you know, my fat phobia and not saying that you're fat phobic. I'm not saying that at all, but saying all that, just like break it down to, okay, so this is part of that whole white supremacist delusional thing, right? Because we're talking about bodies. We're even talking about nutrition. There's and I'm sorry, I didn't write down and I didn't remember her handle on Instagram, but there's this Black nutritionist. She may even go by the Black nutritionist, and she talks about like the food of the diaspora. So like we have collard greens like I don't like to cook, right? Mm-hmm. But you know, we collard greens, those freaking greens, those are greens, right? That's like healthy greens. You know, now instead of ham hocks, we now put in turkey, smoked turkey, right? My mother insists ham hocks taste better, whatever. You know, but that's, you know, those are beans, rice, you know, and so then the whole idea of like, what is nutritious food? And that's starting to happen too in the menopause space too, right? Because we're so fixated on like looking like Jennifer fucking Lopez. Well, I'd look like Jennifer Paltrow, or Gwyneth Paltrow, whatever your body ideal is, right? Like we'd all look like that too if we had a chef, right? And people like supplementing us and giving us IV hydration and Botoxing us when we need it and being like, I'm just going to give you this and this and this. But like, that's unrealistic. But even the food is like, you have to do it this way and you have to do it that way. And it's Mediterranean diet and da-da-da-da-da. Well, I'm sorry. You know, when I go to my in-laws' house in DR, right? Mm-hmm. She's made a gorgeous meal, fresh meal. That's why I like to go there. One of the things, because she cooks. So there's a beautiful salad, multiple colors. There are beans. There's rice there. There's fish. There's like avocado from her tree in the backyard. Like, you're going to tell me that that's not good because it's like not olives? You know, from.
Yeah. I'm really interested lately too in like eating according to maybe the way that your ancestors ate, or eating according to where you are. Does that make sense? Like, you know, being.
Yeah, that's like that. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, I mean, I don't really know what I'm saying, but what I am saying is that I don't want to listen to someone who tells me I should only eat half of a banana. You know, like I'm not interested in someone giving that.
Yeah, I know.
Like
half a banana and then drink salt water.
Right. Like I don't,
for what?
I mean, I've been covering health and wellness for a long time, and I incorporate very few things because over the years I've covered so many things. I would be doing from the morning I woke till the minute I went to sleep. I could be taking tinctures and preparations and supplements and whatever, and you can get crazy. There's very little that makes any sense, to be honest.
And what's the pleasure of that too?
Yeah,
like where does pleasure come into that? Like that's, so I've gone through, like in this perimenopausal, menopausal thing, me personally, I've gone through those phases where I was just doing supplements, right? And I was just trying to do it with supplements. And that's really how I started. And then it's just, you pull out my drawer, I'll take a picture, right? I mean, the combination of like the vitamins and like pharmaceutical, like pill bottles is just, I have like the Whole Foods like in a drawer, right? Like it's there.
Expensive too.
And it's expensive and it's exhausting. And it's not.
I don't think it's great for you either to be taking a ton of supplements. Like, come on, for your liver to, like to process all that. Like, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It's not benign either. It's not like this thing that we don't know, that. So like, that's the other thing. But then there are going to be those people, right? So in our group, like there are people who don't use any hormones, and there are people who do use hormones, and there are people who do this and they do that, and everyone does different things because it's based on like where you are, the season of your life. Like maybe that makes sense to you and you're like, I like to have all of these 15 things, and and I'll share like examine.com with people, and I'm like, check that out, see what you think, see if that helps, see what the research says. And then there are people who are like, just slap the patch on me. Yeah. I'm going to take my progesterone and call it a day. Yeah. And that's a wrap. Right.
What led to your decision to take hormone therapy?
So I ended up doing, so I started researching perimenopause and menopause when one of the mistresses, who's a marriage and family therapist, who I was friends with, I was her prenatal yoga teacher way back when, and she said, let's do a group on menopause. This is the before times. And I was teaching a lot of yoga, and I was in school, I think, to become a nurse practitioner. I just become a nurse practitioner. And so I started to research perimenopause, and I started to figure out that, like this has been happening. I've just been ignoring it. And so I was doing all the herbs. Then the pandemic hit, and I was like, okay, now this is bullshit, because I had a boss at the time who every time he would mansplain to me, which was every time I was on the phone with him, I would just feel this heat rise up and my head just started to tingle. And I was like, oh, I'm going to curse him out. Like he
gave you hot flashes.
He gave me hot flashes.
How is this happening? How is this? Is it the stress, do you think?
So we have to think about like the whole HPA, right? Yeah. The brain, the adrenals, right? And then the ovaries, right? And the whole kind of dialogue that's happening. And so I think that what happens is that the nervous system kind of starts to take over. I think that everything gets revved up, right? And then those temperature gauges start to just like click, and they're like, oh, we're on go time, right? We're on go time. And it was happening consistently, right? I could be, for me, it wasn't about like just being there and all of a sudden this hot flash would take over. It was talking to this guy who annoyed the fuck out of me, honestly. Right. And as smart as he is and lovely, whatever, fine. But he annoyed me. I was also having night sweats, which I had when I had my first kid too. So at 32, after I gave birth, the estrogen dropped and I was just covered in like changing sheets, kind of covered in sweat. I think it might have happened with my second kid, and it might have happened with my third too. I don't know. It's all a
blur.
It's all a blur at this point. But it was that, and it was like, and I was having joint pain when I would wake up in the morning. And so then I thought, well, I gave up sugar for 6 months, and that seemed to really help. And I also had done that, like I made sure to sweat every day in some kind of way. You know, these things were starting to help, but I was like, I cannot get through this pandemic without trying. Like, this is a safe space to try it. I'm at home. I had lost my job at that point. You know, it was like, I was like, let me just try. So I got really deeply into Louise Newsome stuff, and I was reading like all of her, like how to prescribe. And then I went back to the Endocrine Society, and then I was looking at NAMS, and I had already been familiar with NAMS from like a sex toy thing that I had been part of. And, you know, I just was like, that's it. I'm going to do. Oh, and then I watched like all of those Barbara Taylor videos, you know, like I watched her, and I was like, okay, let me just figure out what's going to work best for me. And I tried it, and that was my choice, you know. Oh, I also have to say the heart disease thing was a huge thing too. My father had like, I don't even know, like 4 or 5 angioplasties, you know. His mother had died, like she was a nurse, and she had died like on the unit. Her heart exploded or something crazy. I don't even know, right? And then he had died in when did he die? He died he died when I was like 16. Sorry about the dinging. He died like 2015 he had died. And I thought, I can't, I'm not doing that. Like, that's not, I'm not doing that. And somebody else I care very deeply about had like the surprise heart attack in their 70s, right? A woman. And so I thought, fuck this. Let me see if this is going to be helpful. Also, I hate to ramble. Also, my blood pressure in grad school like went up, right? So all of a sudden I had like, from the stress of working full time, having 3 kids, going to grad school, right? All of a sudden I had hypertension. It was just like a whole clusterfuck.
Yeah.
So I said, let me slap a patch on and see.
And has it helped? And has it helped your blood pressure?
Oh my gosh. So yes, all of it. So it helped first of all, the first thing that happened when I put on the estrogen was that it was like somebody went to my boobs, and all of a sudden they like puffed, just a little puff. And I was like, because mine are like, you know how Joan Rivers like talks about it, 2 tennis socks with sand in the toes. That's mine. That's me. Nobody wants to see that shit.
You have 3 kids.
Yeah. But I used to be a bodybuilder too. I think it's the bodybuilding that did it more, right? But anyway, so it's like they're just like hanging low, right? Like 2 little racers hanging by the belly button. And so I took them, and I was like, this little puff is like nice. Yeah. And then I've always like, I started to notice also that my orgasms became a little more blunted. So still like where I used to be like MC come quick, all of a sudden it was taking longer, but like not in a fun way.
Did you find they were like muted kind of when you had them?
Yeah, they were muted. Yeah. They were like,
that happens
they
to
were just
me. It was just
not as like, they were just not giving what I was used to them giving, right? I was like, they were not giving. So I was like, that's not cute, right? So I noticed that started to come back up. My mood improved.
Okay.
Like I didn't hate the people I love the most.
Yeah.
The sleeping slightly improved. The permetrium helped more, but I have like a hard time. I have a hard time with permetrium. I also have a hard time with drugs in general. Like I'm the type of person who cannot, like one time I took 1,000 milligrams of Tylenol and I was like high, you know, I don't have it. I'm super, super sensitive, except when it comes to like I have ADHD, and I'm really out about that. So on the rare occasion that I do take my medication, which I'm sorry, it was not today, I take like a half of it, like the tiniest dose, like
Right.
I take a 5 milligram pill and like, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
So the Prometrium was a little bit different. I'll tell you about that, but my mood improved. The joint pain went away. My breasts got a little fluffier. My skin was not as itchy and dry anymore. I think I noticed a change in my hair as well, where it didn't feel as like brittle.
Okay.
So those were some of the things. The brain fog lifted, a lot of that brain fog, because I think one of the things for me, and I think for a lot of people, here we go back to this kind of not looking at the chemistry of individuals. I think that when people have ADHD, right, like, and they're female bodied, it just gets worse when they're going through perimenopause, or they're thinking like, how do I have this all of a sudden? Yeah. Like for me, I was diagnosed later in life. However, when I was talking to my parents, you know, figuring things out and like dealing with one of my kids who had it, it all kind of made sense. Like in the timeline, you know, Jessica talks too much and says inappropriate things, that kindergarten thing, right? Yeah. But I think that it's about making space again. It's about taking the pressure off, right? So that's what the estrogen did for me. It took the pressure off. I think the fear of cancers and, you know, the WHI is still around, right? And so I also had to think about like what was going to be best for me, and what was going to take the pressure off. Again, what was going to take the pressure off. Okay. The other thing is that I also think about when we talk about medication. So I was a birth doula before I was a nurse. And it's the same thing, right? Everyone wants to talk about like, you have to have birth in this particular way. And you have to like come while you're pushing a human being, like a whole ass human being out of your vagina. And now you're supposed to orgasm while you're doing it and see like the heavenly whatever, like for real, like, and not do meds on that. No, it doesn't, like, that may not be right for you. Yeah. And again, and that ends up putting pressure, like wellness just puts pressure on people, but that ends up putting more pressure on. So when I think about hormones and I think about taking them or not, I kind of put people in two different camps, like two extremes. There's the Chelsea Handlers of the world, right? Who will take any pharmaceutical, anything, and they are fine. Like they are fine. I have somebody, a colleague who is very much on that. Like she is a biohacker. Yeah, she will biohack the shit out of her body, and bless her heart. Cause I'm like, yeah, okay, you try it. Tell me how that goes. And then I'll think about it. And then there are the other people who are like, I just want to roll in dirt. Well, bless your heart too, right? Like, okay.
Yeah, as long as they're not yelling at you, like I hate those. I call it like the people yelling at you to take hormones and the people yelling at you not to take hormones. Need to because it's very.
The other thing is that like you can also just try something, right? If you like try it for 3 months and you're like, this is fabulous. I checked my blood levels, you know, my cholesterol, my hematocrit. I checked, you know. You don't have to do the estrogen and the progesterone and all that. We know that. We don't have to test those after 45. We go on sensation, you know, we go on our symptoms. I like to say sensations.
I like that.
And 3 months is not going to it's not going to cause irreparable damage. It's just not, you know, unless you're taking like, you know, doses to change your body, you know, completely. But we're just talking about menopausal care. With the addition of a sprinkle of hormones to take the pressure off.
Yeah, a light testing.
That's it.
I like it. I like that a lot. My concern is always that when it's really pushed down your throat and with the disease narrative and the, you know, that it's like a magic bullet, that people will think it's a magic bullet. And then, you know, but I think it's a magic bullet and it will solve everything. And it doesn't for everyone, and not everyone's suited to it. And it's a real like symphony, right? Like it can take months to get the doses right and to fiddle with it. So I just feel like everything else is just very simplified for a narrative. That's the only part that concerns me. I think the way you approach it is so cool. Like, menopause care. But like it's everyone just wants a simple answer because everyone is so busy and they have sick parents and they have teenagers and kids and it's like you don't have time to sort of figure this out, right? So I can see it very disheartening if you're in that sandwich and you go and you hear these stories of I took it and I felt better in 48 hours. Like that's a popular narrative in the UK. It's like on the Daily Mail. It's always like I took it and I felt better. I don't know if it's like that. It sounds like you had that sort of experience.
I think it happened so quickly, but I think my body was just so depleted.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I just had my hormones checked recently just because I was like, for shits and giggles, I want to know. And it was like not good. It was low. Wow. Yeah. My estrogen, like I probably could stand to up my estrogen.
Okay.
I probably could. Right.
Yeah.
I know I could. I should. I don't know if should's a bad word, but I could, but it's like, it's that whole thing. Like, what do I want? What is my goal? Like, what do I want? Yeah. Am I feeling so shitty? Right. Which is maybe why the COVID has hit me, in this particular way. I don't know. I don't know. Because you can read research that says one thing and then research that says another thing. Testosterone was a big thing. Like, take it, don't take it, right?
Are you
so
taking
I am, but not well. I don't use it well. If I take it late in the day, I'm up all fucking night, which is probably not, that's probably just my head doing that. Yeah. I don't know. But it also is because I could be really sensitive to it. It's also like you got to take it you don't take it every day. You take it a couple times, it's a little packet. You got to take 1/10 of it. It's like,
it's a lot, right? With everything you've got going on, like what the heck?
It's really annoying, and then like, I get why somebody's like, just stick a pellet in my ass, but I wouldn't do that either. Right. I wouldn't do that because I'm like, why are you going to cut me?
Well, that's conversation is very hard to get to the bottom of, right? Because it's either the worst thing you could possibly do or an amazing solution. And I can't find.
But I know people who love it. Yeah. I know people who love it, but I would only like, you put in one, and I've seen it done, right? You put in 1 to 2 pellets if you're a female bodied person, but like, so I know I'm super sensitive. I'd be like, can we slash the pellet in half? Like I'd have to take like.
I know what I'm worried about all of this, Jessica, because I got the I went back when I was really worried about birth control. I remember it was about 40 and I got that ring, the Nuva ring. It was a disaster. Yeah. It was a full disaster. It like ruined the inside. I had such a reaction to it. I felt absolutely horrible. It was systemic. Like it was definitely, it was awful. And so I guess when I think of hormone therapy, I think, is that going to happen? Like it was just a terrible experience.
I think it's very different though, because I remember taking the pill in my 20s. And I was a kid, right? I didn't know anything about healthcare. My parents are artists, right? So my parents do not understand this at all. Okay. So I remember going to the pharmacist and being like, if I take the dark blue one, I'm going to suicide. Like I'm going to suicide. So tell me what's going to happen because I cannot take this.
Right.
And she's like, you'll get your periods, just stop taking it. So that's what I did. I also tried the Mirena and literally my body shot it out twice. It was just like, be gone. I had the copper IUD and that was fine. That stayed for the whole time. But the Mirena, my uterus was like, get the fuck.
No, thank you. You are not welcome here. Wow.
Yeah. But it's been very different with the estradiol patch.
Okay.
It's been hard to find a patch for me that my skin doesn't like really have problems with.
Yeah.
So I'm using the Dotti. I don't know, like DOTTI.
Okay.
That actually the pharmacist helped me figure out because he was like, yo, you keep switching brands. And I was doing research. I was like, okay, let me try Sophie. Let me try this. Let me try Merrick. Let me try all the different brands. And then they were like, try this one. And that worked out really well. But the Prometrium, right, micronized progesterone, if I take it by mouth, so if you take it with food, it's going to be stronger, right? We know that it's going to be stronger. So if I take it and I've had a big meal, I am basically a mess the next day. I cannot function. I am half asleep. I cannot do it. So this is, and I know that NAMS is against compounding pharmacies, against bioidentical, but here's where we have to take the pressure off. So I do it cyclically. I still get a period. I'm in late perimenopause. So every 3 months or so, I get a period, which means in the next 2 years, hopefully less, I will no longer be bleeding, right? So I take it cyclically on the 15th. So today will be my first day taking prometrium for the next 2 weeks. And so what I do is I have a 60 milligram micronized progesterone I got at a compounding pharmacy, right? Because 100's too much for me to take orally. And then I take the one I get from the traditional pharmacy and I pop that right into my vagina. And so I go, it's like a double entry. I'm DPing myself.
Yeah.
I'm DPing myself with progesterone.
Not that fun. It's not as fun, but or whatever.
No. I know. And there are toys to do that if you, can't get the bodies. But anyway, I do it that way, and that seems to like, I bleed fine. I don't have horrible periods.
Yeah.
They're like, they remind me of like the calmer months, the calmer seasons of my life.
Nice.
I don't get too groggy. I don't get too sleep. I don't get too sad. I don't get too bloated, but cool. So there's got to be a balance. It's got to be about what takes the pressure off.
I love this approach. And you do this in your, it's like group coaching, right? Like Mistresses of the Menopausal.
Yeah. Model. So the idea is the concept of a mastermind, however that is, but I didn't want to use mastermind. So everybody that's coming, right, has their own lived experience, and they're an expert on that lived experience. And so we meet twice a month. The first time that we meet, which is going to be actually the 18th of July, we just talk, and we can talk about whatever, right? It just has a space to take that pressure off just through conversation. I do a theme every month. So if they want to use that, there are some like leading questions. You can use it. You don't have to use it. I don't care. It's your time. And then people will offer, support if you want the support. So for example, there was one person who was like, for real, I have not been to the doctor in 7 years, not had a physical in 7 years. And so the idea was like, how can we support you? What do you need? And she was like, I need somebody to call me and text me and da, 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 da. Okay, you got it. Mm-hmm. We're all on it, right? Mm-hmm. And then an expert comes the second meeting of the month, so it's going to actually happen. That expert's coming the 1st of August this time. And they're different subjects because we're more than just about hormones, right? So we're doing hypopressives, low pressure fitness. Yeah. So that's going to be the first one. So that's the idea. And then I create a workbook at the end so that when they go back and they want to look at the videos again, they have something to kind of trigger their memory and talk about it. But yeah, it's group coaching if you want to be coached. There's an option to come and talk one-on-one with me and like do a one-on-one where we can either do coaching, because I started talking about sex and sexuality like over 10 years ago, especially, people over 60. That was the thing I was doing for a long time as a nurse. Or we can talk about menopause and what you're thinking and how you want to take the pressure off. And one of the things I like about that, instead of just prescribing medication, is that I was talking to a gynecologist or a couple gynecologists, and they said, in our system in the States, the kind of insurance system, it's a 15-minute visit. So you got to keep coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back. So this is kind of a concentrated time to say, like, let's talk about all of it. Let's see what the evidence says. Let's get your plan together, take it to your provider, any provider, and say, no, this is what I want, right? Yeah. These are the guidelines. and this is why I need to use a compounding pharmacy for the progesterone, because I have a peanut allergy, right?
Yeah.
And I've thought this through, whatever it is, whatever that is.
The support that people get. It
Yeah.
sounds, yeah, and you're really good experts too. Okay, I want to talk about sex briefly. I mean, I'd love to talk to you for 10 hours, but
we can do it again if you want.
Yeah, let's do it again. But the sexuality aspect of it, I find myself rethinking everything to do with sex. And I've never been married or had kids. So I've been out here having relationships and having sex with different people the whole time, which is a unique.
Thank you for your service.
But I think about things all the time. Like I just change my mind about stuff all the time now. Like, okay, this is really personal, but I'm like, I don't want to do doggy style for a while.
Yeah.
I don't really like it. I mean, I don't want to do it unless I'm with someone I really love. Again, I just made that like rule for myself. And this is what I'm feeling happening in menopause. Like, I don't like that, or I don't like how that goes, or I don't know. Do you think this intersection of menopause and sexual kind of awakening, or what do you call it? What am I
Absolutely. I think so. Like for me, it was anal, right? I was like, I'm not feeling anal. Like, I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm done with anal.
Right.
It was fun. I enjoy it. I can orgasm from it. But I'm not feeling that, right? I think that there's this, it's almost like an economy of time, right? Where we know we've hit we're hitting this second phase. So if it's not going to be a good meal, right? If it's not going to be a good meal and a satisfying meal that's hitting all those points of the tongue, I don't want to, or I want to consciously say I want garbage, right?
Right.
So I think that that's part of it. I think also we know our bodies a little bit more. And I think that it comes down to that kind of knowing, the more that we learn and the more that we know about ourselves and the world around us, we can make different choices. I mean, we've bought into so many kind of narratives, like that we can't have belly fat, or we can't queef, or we shouldn't smell, we shouldn't.
One was, I don't have 2 orgasms. I only have 1.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? Like, what is that? Like, I can only have, that was just like beliefs you have about your sexual experience.
Yeah. Or if you're not being penetrated, if you're not having an orgasm with penetration, you're broken.
Yeah.
Right. It takes me back. Like when we were kids, boys would always talk about masturbating.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was like something you're sitting at the lunch table and they're talking about it. How many of the girls do you know were talking about it?
Yeah.
Right. It's like, it's just this kind of this, it's almost like it's basically the sexual scripts that we held on to for so long. We kind of wake up, we read it again, and we're like, who wrote this shit?
But this is hard. Okay, if this is easier for me because I'm going into a new relationship using the experience of the last relationship, and I'm able to say, okay, I'm getting my voice, I'm using my communication, like this is all changing for me. But when you're in a relationship for 20 years and you have to re-educate or communicate with your partner that you don't like what you've been doing for the last, like, how do we know that they like it too? Yes, this is a really, how do we know? Point.
Yeah, how do we know that they are like, they're not going to be like, thank God, because I was told I had to do that.
Right.
One of the things that I was talking to my partner with, and I don't think I'm divulging anything, but we were talking about masculinity, and he's cisgendered, very macho guy, right? Very butch guy. And he was talking about the pressure of masculinity. Like the intense pressure that is on us human beings. I don't know why I said us. I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling very masculine. I don't know. But that's on people on all of us to play these particular roles, which is the beauty of this younger generation, right? To be like, no. Here's non-binary. Here's this, here's that. So we're making the assumption that what we're wanting, like we're wrong for having a desire that's different than what we've asked for in the past. We're making the assumption that they like it, like they've always liked it, where maybe they want more freedom. And they're saying, you know what, I would love it if you would time me up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I love it when you like go and like do this thing and you didn't even know, you know, like maybe their partner loves soft touch, but you know, never knew that. It opens, I mean, how fucking exciting is that to open up an old relationship to a new possibility?
Oh, 100%. I was just listening to a podcast with, do you know Africa Brooke? And Stephen Bartlett, I think he's this famous guy, and she was on his podcast. They were talking about this, and he was talking about, both of them were talking about how essentially we're sort of acting out porn. We're sort of acting, a lot of us, in sexuality, right? Like we're just acting what we've seen on TV and in pornography. And then when you say like, how do you know if they want it too? Like my experience is that when I'm honest about what I want, I can get it, because most people want to please each other. Like I feel like that's the case.
Yes. And do we talk about pleasure? Do we talk like how much? So here's the problem with this whole access and body autonomy. You're going to tell people you cannot have access to this thing. You cannot have access to the choices that you may need to make for your own, just to take the pressure off, right? Very simply, to death, right? All the way, right? Whole continuum. So we're saying, okay, we're taking that away, but now we're not telling kids about pleasure. We're not teaching them about sex and sexuality. We're not telling them like, here, how about mutual masturbation, kids? You know, of course, our Surgeon General that we had for a minute way back when, right? She got kicked out because she was like, masturbation counts, like, yay for masturbation, right?
Yeah.
But we're not talking about these things. Like dry humping was awesome when you were a kid. Like when's the last time you dry humped? That shit is hot.
Right. That is really fun. Yeah. Bring back dry humping.
It's like that shit is hot. Like there's no pressure. You know, I mean, there's pressure, right? But like, you know, get yourself some lube if you've got a more dry, like if your parts are a little drier or itchier, or you know what I mean? There's latex panties, like really thin latex panties. I mean, they are really super, super thin. And you could get the panties, you put a little lube there, right? And you put on some jeans and like go have a makeout session, but like dry hump each other. Like that shit is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know what I was saying.
I think basically, like deconstructing everything, you know. Well, one of the things I find about this time of life is it's very destabilizing for me, just because literally I'm every day I turn around. Once you start, it's just like a domino, right? Like it's every area of your life where you're like, oh, I thought, oh, why do I think that? Like, and then I laugh at myself. I'm like, why are you surprised that needs to be rethought as well? But sexuality is a huge part. And I mean, the way we grew up, I don't know what your parents were like. No one talked about pleasure, or one, you know, no one really does that. Do they even know?
I mean, my parents were like a little bit different. I think they were like a little, my mom's an actor. She's still acting. She was in, should I say what she was in? I say it? She was in, did you see the new Sex and the City show?
Yes.
So she's the grandmother of and you know, the mother of the mother-in-law. That's Nicole Parker, Ari Parker. You know, the new, did you see? Anyway,
the mother,
you know, the black, there's, you know, the black character now, Nicole Parker, Ari Parker, the mother-in-law. She has her mother-in-law. That's my mom. That's my mom.
This is exciting. So, this is a bonus of our discussion that I was not anticipating.
Yeah. She's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom's really cool. She's still working.
Even in Sex and the City. Yeah.
Yes. She's still out there. She's looking for a boyfriend, I'm sure.
Nice.
But you know, like my parents were just so I grew up around actors, and like my dad had jazz club, and so it was like a lot of debauchery. I was around a lot of debauchery.
Okay.
Right. So it was a little bit like I probably became prude just from seeing too much.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when I get into like prudish things. But as a parent, it's a constant conversation about pleasure.
Nice.
Right. And it's a constant conversation about like, how do you pick a partner? Right. And picking partners to be the same as like you have those girlfriends or boyfriend, whatever, you know, friend groups. And you have those people that you feel like you hang out with them and you feel like, yo, we can do everything. We can we're going to take over the world and we're going to do this and we're going to have lunch with Beyonce. Like it's all going to happen. Right. And then you have these people that at the end of the 6 hours, you feel just depleted and miserable. Right. And I was like, that's how you pick a partner. Right. You want the partner to be at that end of the 6 hours, you're feeling like we can do anything. Yeah. That's the person that you want to
Well, I'm glad you're telling your kids, because it took me till way too long to figure that out.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. It's not like I did that. Yeah.
Can I ask you, because you know about medical cannabis, and I'm really interested in cannabis for menopause and perimenopause, and there's really not much, right? There's just really not much research or information. And I think women are trying it. The studies I've seen, a third of women are using it, but I don't know. What's your advice? What's your take?
So first of all, I think I'm really going to be more interested in psychedelics and menopause.
That is so exciting that you say that.
So we actually have somebody, Rebecca Hendricks is coming to speak about psychedelics. Okay. And I think that's going to be much more expanding for people in menopause. When I read How to Change Your Mind, they talk about being middle-aged or in your middle years and starting and experimenting. I think that's going to really make a significant change, because when I was talking about my own hot flash and that concept of feeling the mansplaining and my adrenals taking over, my nervous system taking over, and that kind of all that baggage, all that luggage, all that, shit about being mansplained in the past, or being told you're wrong or you're stupid and you're not good enough, you don't know what you're talking about, doubting yourself when you know you're right. Yeah. All of that's that past trauma or past experience getting in the way. So I feel and also, I'm blessed to have women in their close to or in their 8th decade who are still growing and still interested in learning about themselves and expanding and clearing out that garbage. So I think it's going to be more psychedelics will be helpful.
Wow.
That's number one. Number two, there is just a study, and I put it on the gram, about cannabis and constipation. So one of the things that we know, when we were getting our periods, a lot of us had period poop, right? So not enough prostaglandin, or too many prostaglandins, or not enough, I can't think right now, but you're contracting, so you're having cramps, and plus you're crapping your brains out. Yep. Then all of a sudden, it's the opposite. All of a sudden we're constipated, right? Because we don't have enough progesterone, or we have, I don't know, I'm confusing myself. Okay. But this idea of taking cannabis at night, taking a gummy to sleep, to relax, to reduce any inflammation, to sleep better, and to help with any kind of abdominal stuff that's going on. I think that will be really powerful, because as we get older, we're constantly thinking more and more and more about our poops. So I think that's one thing. I do know that the beauty of THC and CBD and a full spectrum medicine is the fact that there's anti-inflammatory stuff that's going on, that it wakes up and opens those keys in the endocannabinoid system, so that, do you know how it works? The whole thing, the message comes down, and then the anandamide comes to meet it, before that negative message comes in, right? Essentially, right? Because it kind of reminds me of have you ever looked at myelin sheaths, the nerves, and okay, it doesn't matter, but the nervous system sending these messages, right? And they're little points, like operating stations. And so the endocannabinoid system, right, as it is without cannabis being introduced, you have these things called anandamides. Ananda means bliss, right? And so we have the stressful event. then the endocannabinoid system says, oh, look at that stressful event that just happened. Let's take note of that. And so then we're going to meet it and we're going to take the pressure off. So when we do that, when we have to get back on that subway again, and it was such a nightmare last time, we know a little bit more of what to expect, and that stress is not there. And when we add cannabis to that endocannabinoid system, this is really like a super kind of like I'm not a scientist, right, on this thing, but it's like it opens up like little messenger boxes, little operating things saying like, oh, open this, open that, right? So that the inflammation can come down, right? The creativity, you take the pressure off, more creativity. You know, the stomach is working better. We're thinking a little more clearly, all of those things.
Very cool. Yeah. It's, well, it's interesting to know that there's someone to talk to about it. And I love that you said that about psychedelics, because there's one startup I know of in Canada, and I'm really paying attention to it because, yeah, no one's really talking about it, but I'm like,
that's why I'm bringing somebody. I wrote a little blog. I'm not a writer, right? But I wrote a little blog post about psilocybin and menopause. Yeah. Like a lot of people are microdosing because, you know, like Prozac's not getting it. It's not cutting it anymore, right?
And the trauma aspect is the important part of it. Is we know from the evidence that when you have adverse childhood experiences, I always say you don't have to have been chained to a radiator when you were 5 to have those experiences. So yeah, psychedelics, this is what it's all about. It's all about the trauma and tackling that.
Yeah, or even just saying, you know, I'm feeling very small. I'm feeling very small and very constricted and limited, right? And so I want to try something that's going to, you know, expand that. You know, I have clients who microdose and have found it to be extremely, it's just life-saving for them. And I was actually just talking to my mom about MDMA, and, you know, I think that's going to be more, you know, with cannabis, it's cool. It's great. Some people love it. Some people don't. I'm the type of person who, like, again, like I can't take a lot of anything. And it's going, if you want to use it for sexual performance, you just take just a little bit, because you want to be present while you're doing it, you know, just to take the anxiety down.
Are they microdosing? Is it helping with their mood and their brain fog?
So the microdose, so there's actually, I linked to an article of somebody who does specifically take it for their menopause, microdosing for the people that, this is actually a male-bodied person who takes it for depression. Okay. And they can take it like every 3 to 4 days, and suicidal ideation is gone, depression is gone, they can function, they can focus, they don't have any of the psychoactive kind of trippiness of it. But I think that what will happen is that it is touching different parts of the brain, right? And I think that it's just going to help with hot flashes as it relates to that HPO, HA, you know what I'm talking about, the access that I was talking about, right? So the nervous system, and yeah, I don't think it's going to help necessarily, but who knows? Yeah. Who knows what it's going to do?
There's companies working in the darkness now. We don't even know what they're working on, right? So
yeah, I mean, I have a friend who is this brilliant nurse practitioner, who's a psychiatric nurse practitioner, family nurse practitioner, psychiatric nurse practitioner, and is dedicating their practice on integrating psychedelics and ADHD. And this is a woman, and she's 60. I'm not giving out her name right now, so I'm blowing up her stuff, but I'm happy to share her information. But because she's like, you know, licensed in multiple states, and she's incredible. She's incredible.
Cool. Very cool.
So I think it's really just happening.
Okay, we're going to talk about this again. I want to have a continuing conversation. This has been really fun.
Thank you so much.
I hope you're feeling better from the cove.
I will. I'll be thank you. Thanks for, I hope you can use some of it. And
I can. That's
All
amazing.
right.
Yeah. And I'm just
All
so happy to connect with you because I love you on social media and I just
I love you
your
too.
life.
You're great. Yeah. How did it go with your thing, your menopause thing? I tried to catch
Summit?
some of it. Yeah, your summit.
Good. It was like, I don't know if I want to do that again. It was very, 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 very stressful. And it went on for a long time. And I think I got health anxiety from doing all the transcripts. Like, so there's a lot of, I just don't know. It was expensive. I don't know really why I did it. And I don't know if I want to do it again, but
Yeah.
it was a good experience. It was kind of like going to school, and I got some for my names for my email list. And I think you're supposed to feed it into something, but I didn't do that. Like,
Yeah.
I think people do it so they can funnel it into like some group coaching, which I don't do. So I feel like, why did I do it? I don't know. It kind of hurt me, but also I learned. That's
Yeah. That's how I feel like doing my menopausal thing group. I'm like, oh my God, I pay for the privilege of doing it.
Yeah. Someday I think it'll be a good thing. I think
we'll see. Yeah. I hope so.
Well, I can't wait to talk to you, but I got to run.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thanks for everything. Bye-bye.